God bless your family. This is Pastor Finkley. And hey, listen, welcome to Faith in Progress. Just wanted to take a moment to come on right quick, and just talk a little bit about the times in which we're living in. I pray that all is well with you and your family. I pray that the favor of the Lord is resting upon your life and that you are enjoying the full favor of God. Just going to be here for just a little bit. Just wanted to get this out here. I've been dealing with this over the past several weeks, just been contemplating some things. And I'm telling you, the more I sit back and meditate on it, and I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about here in just a minute, but the more that I've been meditating upon this and, studying the scriptures, because I believe that's what we as believers should be doing. We should be searching the word of God, searching the scriptures to help identify and help us be woke in a sense, or aware in a sense of the times in which we've been living. I've been teaching this lesson on Facebook and YouTube during my Bible study entitled Because of the Times. But the thing that has been on my heart here, and the reason in which I know that you probably already seen it in this particular podcast, but the thing that I've been dealing with in my heart and in relations to the time is this attack that is upon truth. There has never been a time in my life, and I'm not that old. I am older. I'm not ashamed nor afraid to tell it. I'm 48 years old. I was born in 1975. In a small town called Mullins, South Carolina, to two parents. My daddy was in the house and my mama was in the house when I was born. But here it is, friends. Never in my life, never in the 48 years that I have been alive, that I have seen the rejection of truth like I'm seeing it now. It is just about mind-blowing. I'm trying to find the right words. I probably put too much air in between me saying that, but it's just about mind-blowing to sit back and see how there has been this overall and overarching attack upon truth. In other words, there's been such a rejection of truth. And the thing that really is bothering me, I'm not going to say, I got to say that it's bothering me because it's kind of bothering me. I'm making a special podcast about it, so I cannot say that it's not bothering me. It is kind of bothering me. But the thing that has me up in arms is that not only there has been a rejection of truth from the world, we know that the world will and has always rejected truth. It's set up, the system of the world is designed to reject truth. It has been that way since truth. It's been that way since truth has been revealed unto mankind. There's always been this rejection of truth. But here it is. As a matter of fact, we don't have time on this particular podcast, but we could go all the way back to the garden and with Adam and Eve, and we could see this rejection of truth. Have God really said, is what the devil told Eve. Has he really said it? That questioning of truth. And so we know where this quote unquote rejection of truth comes from. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the 21st century, 2024. Here we are almost at the close of the first quarter of the year. And we are seeing a rejection of truth like we have never seen it before. And this bothers me. This is mind blowing. And quite frankly, I think that it is time for every true born-again believer to sound the alarm and say out loud that, listen, you better be careful that you don't get caught up in to rejecting truth. The thing about this is this, that if we reject truth, where are we going to go? What else is there outside of truth? The only thing that is outside of truth is a lie. The only thing that's outside of truth is delusion. And we got to ask ourselves, are we willing to give up truth for a lie. We really got to, I'm serious now. I'm serious. This is why listen, this is called an emergency podcast. The only thing that's outside of truth, we got to ask that question. Are we really willing to give up truth for a delusion, for something that's not real, for a facade? Because if we abandon truth, then where shall we go? But here it is, friends. We know that the world has always rejected truth. There's no doubt about it. The world has always rejected truth. And here it is, one of the biggest reasons in which Jesus was hated as much as he was hated. Hated until the point that he was nailed to a cross was because the ones that should have received truth rejected truth. Let's just be honest about that. But here it goes. The thing that is bothering me and troubling me is not that the world has rejected truth, but now we are seeing those who are supposedly born again, those who have made a public confession of putting their trust in the finished work of Jesus Christ, have now come to the place and have now come to the point where they're going public rejecting truth. Rejecting what they know is true. Rejecting what they know is true. Following suit with the world in their pursuit to reject truth. And I believe that we as the leaders, we as the people of God, we as those who have made that ultimate commitment to Jesus Christ, has got to sound the alarm and say to somebody, listen, do not mess around and get caught up and go along with and coincide with a world that is rejecting the truth. Do not allow yourself to get caught up going along with what's popular, what seems to be trending on social media in the rejection of truth. Because let me tell you something. We have concrete evidence. We have historical facts that when men begin to reject truth, they are in trouble. We have concrete facts. We have, we got stone cold truth and proof that when men begin to reject truth, do you hear what I'm saying to you? That when a nation begins to reject truth, they in trouble. And what I see on the horizon, I know I'm not your latest prophet. I know that I'm not your latest prophet, but let me tell you something by way of the Spirit of God. The Spirit of the Lord has revealed unto me, because we are insistent upon rejecting truth, we are in trouble. And I want to sound the clarion. I want to sound the alarm. I want it to be heard. I want it to be put out there for somebody to know and for somebody to hear. Out of all the things you do in your life, let me tell you something. Don't you ever reject truth. It doesn't matter whether truth gets on your nerves. Don't you reject truth. It doesn't matter whether or not, you like what truth has to say to you. Don't you reject truth. It doesn't matter whether truth is popular at the time or not. Don't get caught up in rejecting truth. Because truth is the only thing that's going to make us free as a people as well as a nation. Jesus said it like this in John chapter 8 and verse number 32. You know what he said there, friend? He says, ye shall know the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. The truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall do what? Make you free. If we reject the truth, how shall there be any freedom? What we are seeing, not only in the world, but now we're witnessing it inside of the church. And let me tell you something. A lot of this has been done behind closed doors, but now it is coming full circle, and it is coming out in the open that men and women are now publicly rejecting truth. And so-called believers so-called followers of Christ are following along, are going along with this rejection of truth. Some are rejecting publicly, but others are rejecting privately or inwardly. But at the end of the day, friend, let me tell you something. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in the rejection of truth. You know, the crazy thing about all of this is that Jesus was the one that says about himself in John chapter number 14. You know, in John chapter 13, Jesus was at the Last Supper. In John chapter 14, he's on his way to lay down his life. And what Jesus says to his disciples, there's so much we could say about this, but what Jesus says to the disciples in John chapter 14, while he's on his way to lay down his life, he says to his disciples, he says, I am the way, and I'm the truth, and the life. And no man cometh unto the Father but by me. Jesus said about himself, I'm the truth. And if we get to the place and to the point where we begin to reject truth, then let me tell you who we're really rejecting. Let me tell you who that rejection is really pointed at. That rejection is not pointed at any human being on this earth. That rejection is not pointed at your pastor. That rejection of truth is not pointed at your church. That rejection of truth is pointed at Jesus Christ himself, because he is the truth. And if we reject the truth, then what we're saying to him is that I reject you. I don't receive you as truth. I don't receive what you have said to be what God has said, because it's a rejection of the truth. This is a scary time. Lord, listen, I'm not trying to put anybody in any fear, but I'm telling you what I know to be true. This is a scary time. It's a perilous time, just as Paul said in 2 Timothy chapter number 4. Well, chapter number 3. You got to get that right, Finkley. I got it there. This is a scary time, just as Paul said in 1 Timothy chapter 4, when he said that men shall depart away from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. And let me tell you something. One of the greatest doctrine that the devil can give is that it's okay to reject truth. And so Jesus said that I'm the truth. And when we get to this place and to this point, let me tell you something, friend. Where we begin to reject what we know is true, when we begin to reject what we know is right, when we begin to reject what we know he has said unto us, when we get to that place that we start rejecting truth, let me tell you something, we are in trouble. And I'm telling you now, we're in trouble. Every born again believer need to be upon their knees. Everyone that names the names of Jesus Christ need to be upon their knees. You need to be praying for your family. You need to be praying for your church. You need to be praying for your leader that they don't forsake truth. Lord, don't let truth leave my family. Lord, don't let truth leave my church. Lord, don't let truth leave my own personal life. Lord, don't let my leader be up under so much pressure that he or she departs from the truth. Because the world doesn't have an issue with the church. It's the truth they got a problem with. It's the truth. Do you hear what I said? It's the truth. They have a problem with you shouting and dancing, speaking in a little unknown tongue. The problem is with the truth. They don't have, listen, let me tell you something. They don't have a problem with you laying hands and prophesying. But the problem, my dear brothers and sisters, is with the truth. And as long as we are holding faithful to the truth, then we're all going to have a problem. But don't let yourself fall into this, slipping away from the truth. It's the truth. The truth is under attack. And this has been going on for some time. And let me tell you something, it's been going on for some time in the world, but now we're seeing it now going on in the church. We see it now. We see it now going on amongst believers. We see it now with those in whom we have put our trust in. This is why I am up under such level of urgency to get this out and to say, don't reject the truth. don't reject the truth. Truth still matters. And so, listen, if we turn away from the truth, what do we have? Listen to what Jesus said. I want you to hear what Jesus had to say about the truth. He says, ye are of your father, the devil. John chapter 8 and verse number 44, he's talking to the Pharisees. He says, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer in the beginning. And you know what the devil did? He abode not in the truth because there is no truth in him. Whenever we abandon truth, we have then entered into the enemy's camp. Whenever we abandon truth, we have begun to go along with what it is that he desires and what it is that he wants. Jesus said it like this, that he is a liar and he's the father of a lie. And if we turn our back on the truth, we have fallen into the arms of the enemy, of the devil himself, because no truth abides in him. When he speak a lie, is what Jesus said. He speaketh of his own, for he is a liar. And Jesus says he's the father of it. And so I know this probably hadn't been the best podcast. I know that this is probably not as well put together as my other podcasts are. But I wanted to say this to somebody. Don't allow yourself to reject the truth. Don't allow yourself to fall into that where you start rejecting the truth. There's a war going on. And let me tell you quite frankly, there is a war against truth. God bless your family. This is Pastor A.D. Finkley. Let's contend for the faith.